So we have to have good communication, good emotional intelligence, and then persuasiveness, which Joan mentioned a little bit earlier. So I want to talk a little bit about communication. If you can see this image, I use this to represent the person sitting in the middle. There's folks attacking from all sides, right? But the person sitting in the middle may come across as a little passive. I'm just kind of taking it. So when I said you have to have good communication skills to be influential, you want to make sure that you are not too cold. Being passive sometimes, what I mean is, that mentality is, you've got rights and I don't. And if we're not careful, especially in a support role, we'll start saying that about ourselves. We'll start thinking that about ourselves, and we will allow others to do the same. You've got rights, I don't. That means you can cut me off in conversation. My ideas don't have to get heard. I'm not a person that really gets to share the road of conversation. So we don't want to be too passive. We also don't want to swing to the opposite end. Notice the image at the top, and be too aggressive. Now it's too hot. Too cold, too hot. And a person communicating aggressively has a mentality, I've got rights, and you don't. The passive person says, you've got rights, I don't. So you also don't want to communicate in a way where people feel like you're, running over them all the time. And, well, I know what's going on. I'm connected to the exec. You need to listen to me. Notice even all the hand gestures and the hand movements and the things that your body language will communicate that if you're coming across as aggressive as well. So we want to make sure we're not coming in too cold. We're not coming in too hot. What I like to refer to as the Goldilocks zone, just right, is assertive communication. If I'm going to be influential, I have to be able to communicate assertively. That mindset is, you've got rights, and so do I. We will share. That means I'm willing to stand up for myself, assert myself in a conversation, not in a way where I'm trying to snatch back power, right? But we can share the road. There'll be space for your ideas. There should also be space for mine as well. We got to be really careful because sometimes people are being aggressive and they think they're being assertive. Aggressive, again, that mindset of, no, you're going to listen to me. Well, mucho take it easy, right? Tone communicates emotion. And so to fall back on, well, I just said, or I was just trying to understand, or I was just ... the tone said something else. The tone may have communicated you were fed up, which you may have been, right? So that's a real place to be, right? And so assertive is, I'm confident, I'm willing to address things that need to be addressed. I'm not going to allow them to kind of be buried. I'm not going to bury my own head in the sand. If you can come across as a person who is assertive in communication, then you start to build influence. Really think about that. Who are people around your office or in your workplace who may be too passive? What are the things being said about those people when they're not in the room? Oh, they're a pushover, or you can get whatever you want. That person may not be able to come to you with any level of authority to influence you, right? Because they're passive. You just let people run over you. Same thing on the opposite end, those people who are super aggressive. You don't also want to listen to them, and you just may nod your head while they're there and then walk out and do whatever it is that you want to do, right? So communication is really important to build influence. So practice being assertive. That means being willing to speak up, even if that starts today with a mindset shift. I've got rights, and so do you. And when I'm communicating, if I'm cut off, then it's okay to say, I'd like to go ahead and finish that thought. That way we can kind of share the road and then keep talking. Passive is, oh, is it okay if I please finish? But it's also not the other end of, I wasn't done. Right? Because here's the truth. In those interactions, communication is cyclical. And in those interactions, each one impacts the next one. So if we're at a meeting and it doesn't go well and I cut you off because how dare you interrupt me while I was sharing my idea, then guess what happens the next time I'm in communication with that person? They've logged that, right? And you start tearing down your own influence. So you want to be mindful about being assertive.